Now it is working. Hi, this is Dr. V, Burnout Expert. I'm talking to you from lockdown UK, even though I work as a full-time doctor in the hospital, but this is Easter Monday, so I'm home today. And I thought it would be very important to talk to you about why you should really take care of your mental health during this pandemic. I see a lot of people around me that are very fearful, and this is only a normal reaction because we are confronted with a viral infection that we can't see. So there's an invisible enemy who makes people ill and even kills people in any age range. I mean, there are children of 5 that have died. There are young people in hospital on ventilators who might not make it. Unfortunately, this is a reality that we don't often get confronted with. And there's also not much you can do. I mean, luckily, where I live, there's a lockdown and people are in social isolation, so the risk of catching this disease is a lot less now, apart from me and my colleagues who work in the hospitals where we are confronted with a lot of infected people. And that's why we really need to realize that people who work on the front line, they're putting their lives at danger and they suffer with a lot of fear, not only for their own life, but for losing the ones they love. Because when they go home after the shift, they can carry the virus home with them somewhere in the mucosa and not know about it, because you can be infected and only get ill a week or 2 weeks later. So they suffer with a lot of fear, even though they really want to help. I realize also there's a lot of anxiety, and that's why I want to talk to you, because being anxious doesn't help. Being careful helps. Washing your hands helps. Social isolation, if you can, helps. And not touching everything in the grocery store helps. There's a lot of things that you can do, which is common sense on how to keep yourself and your family safe during this pandemic. But for the people who are really working on the front lines, they need a little bit more help. And I know I've been actually putting off talking to you about this because I know this is very controversial and not everybody's going to like it. But the main fear that people are struggling with at the moment is the fear of dying. True? And in a lot of cultures, especially Western culture, young people are not really confronted with the idea of death. Even though once you are older and you maybe already had a few health scares like me, you know that's inevitable. It's part of life. It will happen one day. And once you have been through that acceptance, you're not really scared of dying per se, but you're become scared of the idea of leaving your loved ones behind. Like, for instance, I'm a single mom with no family backup here in the UK, so if anything happens to me, my 3 teenage children are completely on their own and they're not mature enough to take care of themselves. So that is my biggest fear. But then again, I also worked through this. In week 1 of the epidemic, I kind of went through my fear of dying, and I realized, like, okay, I've already been there. A few times I've been there, and I've been in intensive care a few times also. And what I realized is it's going to happen one day. Being anxious about it is not really helpful. I've written about one of my first dying experiences when I was almost drowning in the ocean in South Africa at shock points, and how you can fight it, and then when you give up, there's actually a peace that comes over you when you see your life, like you see the film of your life. And then I had no regrets at that stage, so it was easier for me. And then I was saved miraculously. So you can read about that in my book, My Surgeon Talks to Angels, A Journey from Science to Faith. And so that was the first fear that we have. And I think if for all of you that already have been through something similar, you will realize that it's nothing to really be scared about, and prepare yourself in any case. And the second fear that we have is losing a loved one. And I must admit that is the most painful thing I have been through. I've lost my husband, the father of my children, when he was only 45 from cancer. And it was absolutely heartbreaking to have somebody you love so much removed from your life permanently. It's also painful for everybody else that stays behind with that big hole in their life where the presence of the other person was, physically, emotionally, spiritually. There's a presence that's no longer there. So yeah, I understand for people who are going through this at the moment, it is heartbreaking, and they really need to get help in grief counseling. So these are two permanent things that we are afraid of at the moment: our own death and the death of losing people we love. So this is very understandable. Now there's two more fears we're suffering from, and I'm going to keep this video very short because I've been told your attention span doesn't last longer than 7 minutes, so I got 1 minute to go. A lot of you will be scared because you lost your job or you're losing your income. In some countries like the UK, people are getting help from the government to stay afloat. There's like a break on mortgages. My bank phoned me and said, if you ever need any help, we are here to help you financially. So that's great help from the government and other institutions. But what I want to say before I end, and I'm going to be back on tomorrow with more subjects on how to deal with stress, how to deal with loneliness, how to avoid burnout, what to do so that you're not bored. And for those people in relationships where there's a lot of tension because you're locked up together for too long, I have some healing techniques that you can implement while you're in lockdown together. So I'm going to be back tomorrow, same time. And also, to end up, I was talking about the 4 fears that people are struggling with at the moment. So realize that job loss and income loss, it might be present at the moment, but it's not permanent. Just look around you, and even in your own experience, you probably have more than one job in a lifetime. So it's not always bad to lose one job and have to pivot into another direction, and maybe you will end up with something a lot better. Okay, so this is a time we can sit down, go really deep down and say, what do I really want to do with my life? What is my purpose? And by the way, if you're interested, I have a meditation on how to find your life purpose. So contact me, I will send it to you for free. Yeah, it's great talking to you guys, and see you again tomorrow, same time. This was Dr. V, burnoutexpert.co.uk. There's lots of blog posts there that are useful that you can download, like how to holistically boost your mood, how to boost your energy, relationship tips, and what to eat to boost your immune system. You can all find that on my website, burnoutexpert.co.uk. Stay safe and stay home, and see you tomorrow.